boys and girls. Miss Kathy here from Shaler North Hills Library, coming at you from a little bit different setting here tonight. And we are going to do the activities to go along with High Tide in Hawaii from the Magic Treehouse series. Again, we read this book online. If you didn't have a chance to read it yourself, you can read it along with me at the link on our website. And now we are doing the activity packet that goes along with it. Hopefully you picked up one of these at the library, or you have printed one out for yourself so that we can do these things together. Okay, also want to recommend there is a companion book to go along with this, the nonfiction guide, Tsunamis and Other Natural Disasters, that you can check out to learn more about what happened in high tide in Hawaii and how it happens all over the world from time to time. Okay. So, first thing on the list was learn how to hula dance. So I sent you a link, and I'm not going to do that right here because I don't have anyone recording and it's hard to show my whole body. But it talks about how you incorporate your arms into it, and then you do some of the shake motion with your hips, and then it's what your feet are doing too. There's 3 different things you combine, and that they can tell stories. And there's certainly many other websites you can go to. That was just one that looked pretty basic, good for beginners and younger viewers. But you can learn how to do the hula dance by checking out that top website. Hawaiian Eyes Matchup. So this is a sheet off the Magic Treehouse page. We have a list of words on one side and their definitions on the other. So let's see if we can do it together, because some of these I really don't know. So I'm sure you probably aren't too familiar with them either. But I have an answer sheet if we need it, then we get stuck. Okay, let's read through the words first. Not sure how to say this one. Liliuokalani. James Cook. Honolulu. Lava. Poi. Tapa. Pele. Tsunami. Aloha. Petroglyphs. Malay. And Kilawa. Maybe. Not sure about that last one either. The different choices of meaning are rhythmic chants which accompany hula to tell stories, a greeting used for both hello and goodbye, symbols and images carved or etched into stone by ancient Polynesians in Hawaii, one of the world's most active volcanoes, English navigator who explored lands in the Pacific Ocean, capital city of Hawaii located on Oahu, a traditional food made from pounded taro root, the last queen of Hawaii, molten rock from volcanic eruptions, clothing made from tree bark, a great tidal wave caused by an earthquake, and Hawaiian goddess of fire. Those are our choices. So what I like to do on a sheet like this, excuse me, is go through and do the ones I can do first. And then that narrows down the choices a little bit. Liliuokalani, not sure about her. She could be a Hawaiian goddess of fire or the last queen of Hawaii. So I'm going to leave that one. James Cook. Now that one I do know. He was an English navigator who explored lands in the Pacific Ocean. So we can match the terms up. Maybe if you want to draw a line, maybe that's one way we can match it up. So we're going to connect James Cook to English navigator. Okay, Honolulu, that is the capital city of Hawaii. I know that one. Capital city of Hawaii. And it tells you Hawaii is a state, and it tells you that it's located on the island of Oahu in Hawaii. Lava. You know what lava is? That one's another one I do know. That is molten rock from volcanic eruptions. So we're going to connect those ones up. Poi. Remember what poi was? They did talk about this in the book, and that was a traditional food made from pounded taro root. Poi. Tapa. You know what a tapa is? That was in the book, but I can't remember, so I'm going to skip that one. Go to Pele. Pele, I think they mentioned that's another one of the Hawaiian names. Goddess of Fire, I think it was. But we can hold up until we're sure. Tsunami, I know the tsunami. Tsunami is a great tidal wave caused by an earthquake. Aloha. You know what aloha is? What it's used for in Hawaii? It is a greeting used for both hello and goodbye. So you can say aloha for either one. So we're going to go back up top here. The petroglyphs. Now they did talk about the petroglyphs, and those, usually anything to do with a glyph has to do with writing or pictures drawn somehow, like the hieroglyphs you might have heard of. So petroglyphs are going to be the symbols and images carved or etched into stone by ancient Polynesians in Hawaii. Mele, those were the rhythmic chants which accompany a hula that tell the stories. We have all of these ones at the bottom are going way up top here. And then we have one of those Hawaiian names, Kilai. Not sure. So what are we left with? Liliuokalani, Tapa, Pele, and Kilauea. And we have one of the world's most active volcanoes, the last queen of Hawaii, clothing made from tree bark, and Hawaiian goddess of fire. Well, Pele must be, Tapa must be the clothing made from tree bark, because that's not a Hawaiian name. So we're going to pair that up. Okay, now we got these three Hawaiian names, and since I think Pele is the Hawaiian goddess of fire, we can double check that when we look at our answers. I'm going to go with that. The last queen of Hawaii and one of the world's most active volcanoes. I think that Liliuokalani is a queen. So I'm going to guess that, since we've narrowed down our choices a lot. And Kilauea, however you say that, would be one of the world's most active volcanoes then, because that's the only choice left. Okay, now we're going to look at our answer sheet and see how well we did. Liliuokalani, the last queen. That was a good guess. James Cook, we knew, was the English navigator. Honolulu, capital city. Lava, molten rock. Poi, a traditional food. Tapa, clothing made from tree bark. Pele, Hawaiian goddess of fire. Tsunami, we knew, the great tidal wave. Aloha was hello and goodbye. Petroglyphs were the symbols. Mele was the rhythmic chants. And Kilauea was one of the world's most active volcanoes. So, hey, give me 5. We got them all right. We are good guessers. Maybe we are master librarians. Okay, so that was the Hawaiian Eyes matchup. That over there. Next on our list is make an ocean pudding cup, which you can do by printing out that recipe or having the recipe in your packet, making that. We're not going to do that together right now. And you can learn more about tsunamis at that really cool website, and I printed out some of the pages from it as part of this packet. But the next thing we're going to do together is make our own crafty surfboard. And the directions for this are on the back of this sheet if you did pick up a packet from the library. At least I think that's where they ended up. So we have a large paper plate, and we are going to cut out our surfboard shape from the paper plate. Just kind of eyeballing it. It says almost like a football shape. I'm not a surfer, so I don't know exactly what size it should be, but I think we don't want it too bulbous in the middle. It's hard to draw on a paper plate, isn't it? And then we have to cut that out. So we're going to cut up our paper plate here. Okay, that's going to be my surfboard. I hope no surfer ever sees this, because I don't think he would be able to surf on that. Next, cut your tissue paper into small squares. Now they used yellow, and I grabbed some yellow just so it's bright, but you can use any colors that you have at home. Color is not the important thing. So I folded mine over a couple times so that I can cut more than one piece at a time. I'm just going to cut a little bit off here on the side and then cut that up into smaller pieces. So we're just cutting up our tissue paper. I'm not sure how much we need yet. We can always cut more, or if we don't use some, then we just have some extra maybe for another craft. Okay, put on a good layer of glue over the paper plate and then put the tissue paper on top of the glue. You can do that, that's not too hard. I like to glue on top of something though, so I'm gonna put something underneath it here. And then get out my Elmer's glue or your whatever white glue you want to use. You can probably use stick glue too, but I prefer the liquid glue myself. But you can do whatever you have at home or whatever you prefer to use. Tissue paper is really light, so I'm sure it will stick to anything that, whichever type of glue you use. Okay, a good layer of glue on, and then we're just going to stick on our tissue paper until our surfboard is completely covered. So let's make sure we get all the way up to the edge. And that gives it a nice textury feel when it's put on in small pieces like that. And mine was a little bit crumpled to begin with too, so that adds to the texture. Working my way up, you might need a little more tissue. You find when you get to the top, or depending on how big you made your surfboard. Maybe some of you have been to Hawaii. Hawaii is very far away. There's Jack and Annie. Can't tell you, although they have a special way of going that would be different than we would have to use to get there, of course, huh? Although it would be awesome to have a treehouse that could travel all over the world and through time. They are very lucky. Okay, we're getting near the top here. Pieces are hanging off a little on the edge. That's fine. You can always go along with your scissors and trim them. And we got it pretty well covered up there. Okay, now we have our surfboard. What's next? It says, when you're done that, cut some waves from blue cardstock. So anything you have at home that's blue, construction paper, I have some foam, it can be cardboard, whatever you have that is blue and resembles water. If you don't have anything blue, color blue waves yourself. It doesn't even have to be blue to start with. You can use markers or something and make it blue. And you can make it whatever size you want. Just going to cover up the bottom of your surfboard so that it looks like waves. Okay, finish off. We're going to decorate. It says add your embellishments. They used washi tape for the stripes and then added some flowers too. And staple on the waves. Ooh, big waves. More than we probably need. So I don't have that certain type of tape they're talking about. But if you have stickers at home, if you have anything else foamy, if you have even markers you can use. I have a pattern tape there. I happen to have some fish around, foamy fish, so I'm going to glue on some fish. Maybe they're jumping up out of the water. And before I do that, I think I'm going to decorate a pattern on it using just some regular markers. I know everybody is not going out and doing very much these days, all through this series, so I try to keep things so that you can always substitute something you have around at hand, even if you don't have exactly what they're calling for. So they're decorating it in like a zigzag pattern. You can draw pictures on it. You can decorate it in a certain pattern. Do whatever you want with your craft. That's one of the cool things about crafts. You can make them your own. You can start with somebody else's overall idea and then add to it and make it what you want it to be. So I'm drawing some zigzag shapes going up, and then I will put on, maybe in another color, I'll put on a few stripes. I'll use blue. Maybe I'll have some stripes going this way. You guys think you would like to surfboard? Sounds like it's pretty tricky to me. But I'm sure it's a lot of fun too for those who get to do it well. And maybe we'll add a star, all different kinds of things you can do. And then I'm going to put on my fish, I think. So I have to use some more glue for those. And I put some glue spots on, and I put some of my fishies on. Maybe going different directions. They can be like fish jumping out of the water as it's surfing, or they can just be decorative fish that are painted on the actual surfboard. I think the flowers were supposed to be decoration on the board itself. So when you feel like you've put on enough of stuff, you are ready to add your waves. And it says to do that by stapling your foam. I'm going to take this rough edge off here because it looks a little bit too sharp of an edge, I think. So I'm going to glue on, or not glue, we're going to staple this because it would be hard for that to stick to the rough surface of the surfboard. Staple the foam onto there. And last is proudly display your work. And there you go. There is your surfboard. You can hang up. You can lean up against something. You can make another one and have one for Jack and one for Annie and even one for one of their friends if you want to make it. And you can surf on it for play. Okay, so we have the surfboard. And I think last thing left on the list is to take a quiz together. So let's see what the quiz is all about. But again, don't worry, we'll work through it together. We have a bunch of questions from each chapter of the book. Chapter 1, what kind of magic were Jack and Annie supposed to find on this adventure? Remember what kind of magic? Page 6 tells us they had to build a special ship. That was what they were doing. There were 4 kinds of magic they had to find in this set of 4 books. And the one for this one was to build a special ship. Where did they go to visit? Of course, old Hawaii, huh? The way it used to be. And how does Annie feel about Hawaii? She loves it, huh? This is at the beginning. Eventually, both will come to love it. Chapter 2, what were the villagers doing when Jack and Annie got to Hawaii? What were some of the things the villagers were doing? It says on page 12, having a party, dancing, making music, laughing, talking, all that kind of stuff, huh? They were having a good time. What dance did Annie do with the villagers? What's the famous Hawaiian dance they taught her to use? The hula, of course. And what did the villagers give to Jack and Annie to welcome them to their village? Very customary in Hawaii. I think when you get off a plane or a cruise ship, they put one of these around your neck, and those are leis. Chapter 3, how did Jack like the poi the villagers gave him? He didn't really like it, did he? He used the word, you remember what word he used? Because he wanted to be polite. He didn't want to be rude. He said it was interesting on page 21. Where did Jack and Annie sleep for the night? Remember who took them to sleep and where they slept? It was Kama and Boka's hut. And what did they sleep on? Did they have a nice mattress to spread out on the ground or a sleeping bag? No, they had a mat, huh? They slept on mats on the floor. Chapter 4, after Kama and Boka finished their chores, where did they take Jack and Annie? Oh, they all wanted to go to the beach. You're right, the beach. What did the children eat for breakfast? Oh, they had a good fresh breakfast. Remember, they plucked it right off the trees. Things that go on tall palm trees. 2 things, coconut and bananas. Coconuts and bananas. How did they open the coconuts? They didn't have any tools or anything with them. How did they open it? The way the raccoons open up things that they're catching by the rivers. Pounding them with the rocks, right? Pounding them and cracking them open. Chapter 5, what did Kama and Boka teach Jack and Annie to do at the ocean? Whoa, what was that fun thing they were doing with the waves? They were teaching them to surf, huh? How did Jack feel about learning to surf? Oh, same way I would. Remember? He was very nervous, and he wanted to read about how to do it first. What happened when Jack tried to stand up on the surfboard? Oh boy, that was not a good experience for him, was it? He fell off and almost drowned. That sounds like what Miss Kathy would do on a surfboard. Chapter 6, how did Jack hurt Kama and Boka's feelings? Ooh, that was kind of a sad moment, huh? Because he was upset. And he was all worked up because he had almost just drowned, so he wasn't being the kindest person. He pointed out that they didn't know how to read, when they didn't even have books back then. So there was no way Kama and Boka could have known. What did Jack feel as he was sitting on the beach? Oh, they were out surfing, and he could feel that it was starting to shake. It was an earthquake, huh, starting. Where did Kama, Boca, and Annie, where were they during the earthquake? Well, while the ground was shaking, they were out in the ocean. They didn't even realize it was shaking. Chapter 7, what was Jack worried would be coming because of the earthquake? Oh, and then it did come, didn't it? A tsunami. What did Jack do to the other children's attention? How did he try to get their attention, remember? He was waving his arms and trying to get them to come out of the water. As the children got to shore, what was happening to the water? It was pulling away from the shore, pulling past Annie's feet. And what did Jack have to do? This was back on the attention thing. Not only did he wave his arms, he had to go out into the water to get them, because they were not seeing him. Chapter 8, where did the children run to get away from the tsunami? Didn't want to be down on the flat beach where the water was going to come crashing in. So they ran up the cliff and they just made it in time. Why did they need to get so high? Because of what? The wave gets bigger as it surged to the shore. It started out smaller, but then it kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger until it was going to crash on that beach. Who came looking for the children? Who would come looking for you if you got lost or something happened? Of course, your parents, huh? So it was Boca and Kama's parents, and they brought some other villagers with them too because they were all worried. Chapter 9, how do the villagers tell their stories? Again, we go back to the hula. They don't have things written down. They do the hula dance. Who did the hula to tell the tsunami story? The 4 people that were involved with it, huh? Kama, Boca, Annie, and Jack. And what was the kind of ship Jack and Annie needed to find? Wasn't the kind you sail in, huh? Or that you can build out of wood. They discovered they needed to find the ship of friendship. Friendship. Chapter 10, who was in the treehouse as Jack and Annie returned to Frog Creek? Someone was standing there to greet them, and it was Morgan Le Fay herself. What were the magicians of now that they had found 4 special kinds of magic? What were they magicians of now that they had found all 4 kinds of magic? Those were things that weren't hard to find elsewhere. They just had to know what they're looking for. They're things that we have around us all the time. And that was everyday magic now. They are magicians of everyday magic. Where would they get to use their magic? Remember where that place was called? We can't remember all these specific names. It tells us the page number on page 71. They would get to use their magic in the realm of magic. Soon you will be called upon to use your knowledge of everyday magic in the realm of fantasy. Not realm of magic, realm of fantasy. The realm of fantasy, said Jack. Are we going back to Camelot? But before she could answer, they went in with their dad. But they had discovered the magic of theater from the Shakespeare book, which we did not do together. The magic of animals from the African cloud forest. The magic of community from the first Thanksgiving, which we did read last time. And now the magic of friendship. So theater, animals, community, and friendship. And those are things we have around us all the time. Okay, so those were some study questions to help us appreciate and understand high tide in Hawaii a little bit. So you can check out the Tsunami website. You can learn how to hula dance. And I'm going to sign off now saying thank you for watching. And stay tuned for the next installment of the Magic Treehouse. I look forward to seeing you there. This has been Miss Kathy. Bye. Have a good night or day.